I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Oh, it's been pinched! It has been pinched, and it's the Rocket, isn't it? It's Jensen!
It's scored! Hudson Huddersfield will surely be going to Wembley!
It's going to go all the way!
It's going in for the Giants!
It's deceptively quick for a half-back. Is he going to go all the way?
They've got the numbers out wide here of Huddersfield. They have got the man out wide. It's McGilvray for the corner, and McGilvray is in.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Talking with Giants podcast. Just when you think we're on course for the playoffs, they reel you back in. The Huddersfield Giants went down by 38 points to 12 at a resurgent Wakefield Trinity. In the stands, hissing and spitting like a wildcat, was Jake Rowlands, who has plenty to say on that performance, as does, I am sure, our cohort Nathaniel Wood. I'm Matt Shaw. Let's kick off, maybe literally. Wakefield 38, Huddersfield Giants 12. Let's dive straight in. I think there were some raised eyebrows maybe at the team selection to start the game, and maybe with good cause, because the first half, let's just say it probably wasn't the best, was it, Jake?
No, I mean, for me, when I saw the team sheet, I raised my eyebrows, as you said, and I thought, Ollie Asholbot's been played the last couple of games for Wakefield at fullback. We brought him in here for that purpose if we did get an injury at fullback. But yet Watson seems really reluctant to play him. So for me, it's an absolute waste of a signing, waste of money, waste of Ken's money. Because obviously Gaskell's pulled up. We've got Bot there ready to slot in at fullback. Darnell's been going extremely well on the wing. And he had the worst game I have ever seen from a Super League fullback. Everything he did were just absolutely off. He was just way off. Every pass that he made, ended up in a Wakefield hands. Went out into touch, dropped a couple of bombs, and that, I'm not going to say it's all Darnell's fault because it's not. But he played out of position. But I have heard in the past coaches say that his preferred position is for himself is fullback. Well, I'd advise him not to do that personally. And I'm not an expert, but he's a much better winger than he is fullback. I did call for him to play fullback earlier in the year. But the more I see him there, he's just way off being a fullback. He's a very, very good young Super League winger. But yeah, I mean, in terms of performance, just from start, I mean, whenever a team gets a yellow card or a sin binning, a red card, Giants never capitalise. We never do, and I don't know why that is. It's we seem to play worse when a team goes down to 12 men, and I don't know why that is. I really don't. But if you look over at course the last few years, it's all the same. Whereas if when roles are reversed and we get a sin binning, we generally concede a couple of tries. Just think his attitude, we're all wrong from start to finish. I think we go into these games thinking we're better than teams like Wakefield, and we can just turn up and win, and we come a cropper all the time. Because we're not much better than Wakefield. We've got no injury. With 2 injuries from what one injury and 1 absentee from what would have been our strongest 17. So we've got absolutely no excuses to put a performance like that together. I'm absolutely disgusted. Some players, I due to family reasons at home, I left early because I thought I can't stand through that. When I've got issues going on at home, so I left about 15 minutes early. So I didn't see our 2 tries. A lot of people messaged me afterwards to say, half the players didn't even come and clap the fans, only a handful. I think that's really poor, and it says a lot. Ian Watson, I was disappointed with Ian Watson at the start of the game because he didn't not even look up. He didn't acknowledge the fans at all either, which I thought were, being so close, I thought, just a wave or a clap would have made a lot of fans' day. First time seeing him and didn't even look up, did he? Not. Straight over to the bench, and I thought, oh, wow, that to me is a bit strange, and it just one of them games. Everything we did, we're just off. We were just way off, absolutely way off. And to top it off, as best players probably going to be out for a while now. Josh Jones, it just capped off a really, really poor day. To be honest, I'll let Nat have his say now.
Quite a lot to digest there,
Nat. You probably took words out of my mouth. I agree completely regarding the Ollie Asholbot situation. Why move your winger to play fullback and a centre to play a wing when you brought a fullback in there? And it wasn't like Ollie Asholbot was at the club before Watson turned up. Watson brought him into the club once Ashton Gordon got injured. So, and Ollie would have started the first game of the season, I presume, if he didn't get injured against Leeds in the pre-season. So why all of a sudden now do we feel it's reluctant to use him? So
Is there a fitness issue,
my
maybe?
eyebrow was raised at that point when I saw the team. Everything else I thought was fine with team selection. I thought there's nothing else wrong with the team. I thought Gavitt were the obvious replacement for Luke Yates, who was suspended, so no arguments from me there. Regarding Darnell, no, I don't think he's a fullback. I'll put my hand up. I admit I don't think he's a fullback. He's a very, very good Super League winger. I think he should stay there, but I felt a bit sorry for him. I like to try and stick up for him because I like Darnell, and it was a hot day and it was concentration issues, and he had one of them days and his confidence must have been, was shattered straight away. But he tried. He never gave up trying, and that was my big thing for him. That fair play, he kept your head up and he kept trying, and one pass went to touch, and then his forward pass, they were down to 12, and unfortunately for him, that was probably the turning point that we didn't score in that set. If he kept all the ball and we kept going, we could have scored 6 all. It's a total different game than what it turned out to be. But he tried, and he kept going, and I can only praise him for that. He didn't have a great afternoon. He'll know that himself, so there's no need for us to come on here for me and give him a load of stick, and he'll know that he's not played well, and Watson, I'm sure, will have told him himself. But yeah, the whole afternoon, the whole of the first half, we were never at the races. You could tell straight away we weren't at the races. Wakefield making more yards from their sets than we were, which I thought a bit shame, especially when they had Fafita on the bench. Could sort of understand if Fafita started the game, but he was on the bench and they were still making 40, 50 metres a set, and we won. So I thought it was going to be a slow start, Giants, like we did at Leeds the week before, but unfortunately we went 13-0 down at half time, and I'm more disappointed with some of the attitude of the players. I think I don't mind losing, and I pay my money every week to go watch them, and I don't mind losing. But when I start questioning the attitude of certain players, and some of the players in the middle who, one of the tries, Joe Westham had 4 men on his back next to the try line, and he just turned over and planted the ball down. It's like, well, we're not speaking to each other. That's too easy. And Fafita had just about 3 tackles in the middle of the field for their try just before half time to make it 30-0. And we're not that bad of a team. We defended quite well all season, even though we've lost the first 3 or 4 games. We defended quite well, and yeah, like Jake said, we were way off, unfortunately, that first half. But I was quite happy with the second half, from us, to be fair. So
I'm just wondering if there is a bit of an issue with Ashall Bolt, if he's maybe got a fitness issue, perhaps. But he
can't have, really, because he played for Wakefield last week. He's come back and they sung his praises. Watson sung his praises with his performances. And for me, Cudjoe on the wing was biggest one, because Cudjoe's not played on wing for. I can't ever remembering Cudjoe being on wing. I know Bruno played a couple of games on there, but Leroy came through. He played a couple of games at fullback and a couple of games, and then he's moved to centres, hasn't he? And he's spent his whole career in centres. And it's not just that, they swapped him from right hand side, where he's played all his career, to left wing. And I just find, he's big, he's slowed down a lot now, Leroy, compared to what he was 5-6 years ago. And I just thought that were a really strange selection. I mean,
it's a small pitch. So
true.
I think you don't need pace. You need strong mental. I didn't mind the Leroy move, but like I said, Leroy for me wouldn't have played, because if Ashall Bot's fit, he should have been.
Should have played, yeah.
Should have been the fullback for me. But look, I keep saying it, Watson knows what he's doing, and I trust him. And he may think he got it wrong now. Looking back in hindsight, he may think he got it wrong, but it wasn't his fault. The team selection wasn't the reason we lost for me.
No, it wasn't.
It was still for me the attitude of the players in the first half, which, like Jake said, they probably turned up expecting to win, and no game of Super League is a given for me.
I said it a couple of weeks ago, though. The issue that we have is other teams can get 5, 6, 7 players injured, and they can seem to, work together as a team and come through, some games. Look at Leeds. I mean, they've had half of the squad injured all year, and they're still right on, 2 points behind us. So when they get the players back, I anticipate Leeds will be well ahead of us come season's end in terms of league standing. But we have a couple of players missing, Yates and Gaskell. It shouldn't be enough to disrupt the team like that. I mean, I know Gavitt's not a quarter of the player Luke Yates is, but he still is coming in. You'd expect him, expecting him to have a big game, because he's been out of team a few weeks. But again, really poor performance. Ran in a couple of knock-ons and just looks just looks to be blowing after 10 minutes. His fitness levels are just way off for me. But again, like I said, Gaskell and Yates out at team, that's the only changes we had. And it seems to just disrupt and we just fall to pieces. And that's happened numerous times over past as well. You know, I was thinking last week, I was looking at the squad and looking at all the players that are fit, that can't get a game, like your Wilsons, your Golding, you know, Ashton Golding now and some others. And I thought, oh, we've got loads of strength in depth. But then you see a performance like that with just 2 players out and you think, have we? You know, you just...
I think it was just a coincidence that we had them 2 players out. I don't believe it's all to do with Gaskell, Luke Yates. I think Luke Yates, we probably showed yesterday that Luke Yates is probably our leader in them forwards. And he's the one that holds it together with all his tackles and his work rate in the middle of the field. Gaskell's organisation, you could tell, where he's obviously a lot better than what we had yesterday. So, yeah, we missed him, the 2 quality players around, but still, and I just think it was a massive coincidence that them 2 were missing and we've turned up. Even if them 2 are played, I don't think them 2 make a massive difference to what happened. And I think it was one of them days I don't think it's all to panic about. You know, you actually want to go back and look at the Super League scores from the whole weekend. Salford lose by 50 points. Wigan by 48. Cast by 50 odd. No one expects them results. So in hindsight, our results not that bad. We just had one of them days, and we got to make sure that's the only bad day we have this season.
I get that, but I'm looking at the fixtures now and I'm thinking, which team are more likely to bounce back from a drubbing? The Huddersfield Giants or the Wigan Warriors? I'd have to say 9 times out of 10 Wigan. So I'm looking at that game now and thinking, even with Hardacre missing, that's a very, very, very tough game. One that I can probably see us losing now, which, you know, if we'd have won this weekend, I'd probably could see us being on a bit of a roll. But I don't know, it's a big game for boys now, and you've got to show what they're made of. But if we want to make that top 6, we've got to win games like that, and we're losing, you know, just as many games against teams below us than what we are, you know, teams above us. And I think if we want to make the top 6, we've got to start beating like Wakefield, Ulker. We can't keep losing to teams like that if we've got ambitions to make the playoffs. So we've got a long way to go now for me.
Let me just fast forward one of the item agendas then, because one of the discussion points that we've got is, did we, me particularly, get too carried away after a couple of wins? This side, for me, is probably bound to be a little bit inconsistent due to it being very new in what Ian Watson's trying to bring. You know, it's, you know, they're not, you know, you look at Adrian Lamb's got Wigan, you know, he's had them a couple of years now. You know, Ian Watson's pretty much had these a couple of weeks, you could pretty much say, on the back of 9 games losing. You know, it's not something I think that you can just turn a switch and all of a sudden become this team that wins 7, 8, 9, 10 games in a row and romps through to the playoffs. I think these things, these blips, if you like, do happen. I think there's maybe a danger, you know, it's like a roller coaster in sport, isn't it? There's a famous old Huddersfield Town, well, not very famous, infamous ex-Huddersfield Town manager always used to say, don't get too high when we win and don't get too low when we lose. And I think maybe there's a danger that we've got too high, like I say, me in particular, got too high last week with winning, and then maybe we shouldn't get too low this week, because it's, you know, at the end of the day, it's sport. It's a new team, pretty much, you know, a load of new players together. And even taking 2 players out seems to have really sort of altered the balance and the equilibrium of the entire team. And maybe this will happen with a new team. You know, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. And, you know, whereas it's disappointing to lose, you know, 30-0 at half, you know, going in 30-0 at half time, this is a very new bunch of players and new coach put together. Is there just a case of these things will happen, and then as the season goes on, Nate, will they sort of become more consistent as they become more familiar with what Ian Watson demands of them and what, you know, each other's strengths and weaknesses are?
Yeah, for me it'll come. Like you said, we've got to remain patient. Like Wakefield and OKR, they all predicted to come in the bottom 3, but them 2 teams now, they've been together 2-3 years. They know each other. The coach have been there now. They've set what they want, their processes and stuff into their team, and that's what we're still trying to get in. Yeah, we beat Lee as we expected, but for me, I expected us, had to say we had a 50% chance of losing against Warrington and beating Wakefield, so we just switched them around. You're actually where most people expect Huddersfield to be after the last 4 games. You know, the last 4 games we've had Wakefield, Lee, Warrington and Leeds. You'd probably say you should be winning 3 of them and maybe the Warrington one. So you're not, you know, you switch it around, you've actually still won 3 of the 4. For me, nothing yet to panic about. Stick with Watson. He will get it right. Watson's first year at Salford, they survived in a £1 million game. He then took them to a grand final Challenge Cup. We can't get carried away. You've got to stick with him. He will come good. We know he's a top-class coach. He proved that at Salford. He'll prove it at us. But we've just got to learn. Like, normally when Giants do this, we have 3 or 4 of them a season where we play like we did in that first half on a Sunday, and we like say we have 3 or 4 of them a year. Well, if Watson can iron that out and say that's our only one a year, then that's an improvement. For me, we're still 2 points off top 6. Absolutely nothing to worry about just yet. Just stick with him, keep going, and whatever will be. But hopefully, I'm still thinking we'll be in the top 6 going of the year, and Watson will get it right.
I'm going to say though, Nate, the signs of in terms of just sport in general, when you look at a team that are losing, a team that sort of capitulates and gets hammered at the end shows a sign of sort of bad, not much togetherness. A team that perhaps doesn't bond very well together, in the fact that things gradually get worse, and maybe the ones that don't believe in the coach. But to be fair, at the end of this game, they've scored a couple of tries, and maybe the scoreline looks a little better than maybe what it should do. But again, little things like that, perhaps positive signs moving forward as well, that, this team, instead of losing 50-0, lost 38-12. So maybe there are little shoots of, green shoots of recovery there, that maybe things aren't as bad as what it felt like yesterday, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said earlier, I was quite happy with the second half. I know a lot of people wanting the left early, I get that, but that's each their own. I stayed right to the end and I saw both tries and I saw how hard they worked, and they didn't celebrate the tries. They still knew that they'd been off, they'd been beat. It's nothing to smile about, it's nothing to laugh about. But you look back at the 2 tries we conceded in the second half, which were the only 2. That was because they made interceptions on their own try line, because we're just trying to force it, because we're still trying to get back into the game, and that's the right attitude to have. They didn't just say, we're 30-0 down, let's complete the second half, keep it to 0, not concede, and we'll lose 30-0. They didn't do that. They kept trying, they kept pushing, they kept trying to get back into this game, and it were 2 interceptions that cost us. Joe Greenwood flicked to try to pass the 20-yard ball across field, which, is it Mason Lino, I think, picked it off and went full length, and I can't remember who took the other one, and Kershaw, we tried going over the top to the winger, and Kershaw intercepted, and they end up going downfield. So we're probably not saying they're better team in the second half, but we're on par with Wakefield. They didn't do anything in the second half to worry me. We sorted that defensive problems out. I'm sure Watt spoke to him about it and got into him at the half-time break about that, and they sorted that out. So look, second half for me, very pleasing. They didn't, like I said, they didn't give in. They didn't lose 50-60-0, and let's go back to Castleford. They were 20 points down at half-time, 30 points down themselves, and the second half they carried on. And don't give me this bullshit that they had a Challenge Cup semi-final next week to look forward to. The players don't think like that. Your fans might want to think like that, but your players will not be thinking like that. They're playing for a semi-final spot, so none of them were putting in that performance on purpose. But they're giving. They're soon. We didn't. Our attitude was different in the second half, and that shows that they're behind Watson. Watson's got their respect. They're all buying into what Watson's doing. We just had a bad 40 minutes, and it's like I said, it's coincidence from the players being out. It's just one of them days where, unfortunately for Super League as a whole, 4 of them teams had them afternoons, didn't they? And in the last round of Super League. So for me, don't worry about it. Second half we picked up, and the possibility is we won the second half and we didn't get nil. So
for me though, an issue we've got is we need to start raising his game for these teams. We seem to, you can tell with the first 5-10 minutes when every time we play St Helens, we're there. When we played Warrington, we look, we're straight off line, smashing into tackles, aggressive defence, and then when we play it like Seville Wake, it's just lackadaisical stuff, and it's like, why? We're not world beaters. We haven't been for, we've years since we won League Leader Shield. We're not that club. We're more nearer a Wakefield, a Hull KR, a Salford, current Salford side than what we are a Wigan, St Helens, aren't we? In all honesty, we're more near at bottom teams than we are at top teams. So we need to look at them games, thinking these are games we need to get up for. We need to win these games, but we don't have that right attitude, and that's something Watson's got to change quickly, because I've not seen a change in that from last year, attitude-wise towards them games.
I know we've lost to Hull KR and Wakefield, so people will say we're close to them, but we're not. We can beat these top teams. We can beat St Helens. We proved that last year. Before the pandemic, we went to St Helens and we beat them. We can beat Wigan. We beat Warrington this year. We can beat them top teams on a regular basis. I completely agree with what you're saying. the lesser teams as such as your Wilkes and Wakefield, that's no disrespect to them because they're all strong teams. Yeah, we probably do need to raise this game, but that's not... Watson's got to try and fix that, but Simon Wolford had that problem, Paul Anderson had that problem, Rick Stones had that problem, and no one's been able to put a finger on it. That's something that Watson will get right, and I'm confident he will get that right, because from what I hear from the players, they all respect him. He's a great coach, and I was actually told recently that he's probably the best coach this club's had in a long time.
I can agree with that. You can just see the way he analyses the game, and after game, and he sees what a lot of fans sees. Well, when Wolford used to discuss, and Mick Stone, I used to just think, what planet are they on? When stuff they used to say after games. Whereas Watson, I do believe everything he says. When he's in his post game interviews. But I also feel like a lot of players don't give a shit if there's fans there or not. Other people might feel differently. I don't. I feel like, a lot of Giants players, maybe 50% of them couldn't give a crap if there's 200, 300, 400 fans in the stand or whether there's none. Some of them you can see it means a lot to them. But, every time we get like a decent following, and I thought there were quite a few there at Wakefield. Last time that happened, when we had a big following, we were at Headingley 2 years ago on Bank Holiday, and we did exactly the same there, 30-0 down at half time. We just don't seem to react to when more fans come through gate, and I think that that has a bit of an impact in future away games and away fans making trip over. Because I know a couple of people that went, on Sunday, for day out, bank holiday, thinking, I'll make the effort to go. Don't really go to many away games, and then they come away from that thinking, why would I bother going to another away game again? And it's hard to. What do you say to them really when they're just like new fans in terms of away games and stuff and venturing out. What can you say when only 2 times we've been 30-0 down at half time. But
it's their own. Like you said, people walked out yesterday and I stayed right to the end, and I know exactly which players came over to clap these fans and see the fans and which players walked off down the tunnel. And like I've said, I made it quite clear in Twitter feed to the people that walked off the tunnel, I think you're an absolute disgrace. You get paid a hell of a lot of money to play rugby league. You put that sort of performance in. I don't get paid half as much as these rugby players to do my job, but I had to spend £25 yesterday, and I'm more on my train ticket and the food and drink to go and watch them teams, just for them to walk off straight off down the tunnel at the end of the game, which I absolutely think is a disgrace. Not just because for me, but there's actually kids that stayed to the 80th minute to get the photos because they haven't seen their heroes for 14 months. So just to say hi and just to get photos for them to walk off and not give a shit about us. And I don't agree with it one bit, and I've made it quite clear I've tagged Giants in it. I've made it quite clear to people at the club that I'm not happy that there's doing. You want your fans. You said that fans are important to you. Well, tell your players to prove it. Fair play to your Michael Lawrence, your Leroy Cudjos, your James Gavitt, who, James Gavitt gets a lot of stick, but he still came over to face the fans after that. Fair play to lads that even stood in the middle of the pitch and applauded and didn't want to come right over. I get it. You're embarrassed. You're probably annoyed. You're upset that you played like that. But for players like your Aiden Season, your Jack Cogs who just walked off, it's a disgrace. I know that's what you might do in the NRL, but over here, you just don't do it. You come and say thanks to the fans and see the kids that haven't seen you for 40 months have turned up. Jack Cogger, I can excuse him because it's his second game in front of fans and he probably didn't realise. But Aiden Season, he's been here now long enough to know, especially as club captain, you come and say thanks to your fans for staying to the 80th minute, and hopefully he gets told that from now on he needs to do that, because I'm not here to bang players and slag players off. That's not me at all. I'll stick by him. I'll be at Wigan, I'll be at Salford, I'll be at next away game if I can. I love doing it, I love following him, and I stayed to the 80th minute to clap them off, even though they were beaten. I stayed to clap off the field because of their second half performance. They never give in. They made me proud of the second half, how they didn't give in. So I stayed to clap them off, and it annoyed me a bit how we don't get no appreciation for staying, singing 80 minutes. We sang for 80 minutes. Not once did anyone shout any abuse onto the field. We were having a laugh with him. We were singing about kicking a drop goal at 38-0, so we didn't get nils. There was no abuse from the players. There was no reason for me to walk off. I know they're embarrassed. I know they're hurting just as much as us. I'm not saying they're not, but all it takes is a little clap just to come and see the young fans who have stayed to see you. But hopefully Watson fans realises that's happened and tells them to come, next time that they come over and sort it out.
Look, fan and player togetherness can go a long way in sport. So, it's something that the club should really look to foster and, get everybody on board and everybody pushing in one direction, because we've seen in Huddersfield in 2013, and before and after that in the rugby, and 2017 in the football, you can see the strength of bond between supporter and player and the club in general, all pushing in one direction can do really good things. So hopefully that's something that they'll sort out at some point.
Like last year before the pandemic, we beat Salford away, and the players and the coaches, every single one of them came over to the side of the pitch to the fans and all high-fived the fans, had pictures taken, and Sky cameras were all there, and it scanned it down, and everyone caught on, and everyone on social media saying that's the togetherness they wish that their clubs had. The fans would come over.
Same at Hull KR away last year, wasn't it? Just before the pandemic, they all came over.
They all came over. And why, when you lose, do you not come over?
No.
Why, when you lose? Yes, I get they're embarrassed, I get they're hurting, I understand that. But so are the 300 Giants fans that are in the stand who actually paid money to watch it. It's just a bit of appreciation, and don't lose. The one thing that I'm proud of to be a Giants fan is that, like Matt said, they have that togetherness, that the fans and players have that interaction, that you go to an away game and the kids actually know that the players will come over and see them after the game, and that's what makes the kids excited to go to the away games as much as anything else. If they stop doing that, I do feel that, families will stop going to away games because the kids will also want to. I know from being a little boy myself, when I were going to Giants games, I wanted to interact with the players, and they never did it back then. So now they've got this togetherness and this closeness together. They should be keeping to that and not walking off. I just thought that, like Matt said, that the club address it and just say, come on, guys, I know it's hurting, but let's sort it out.
Shall we move on to nicer matters, shall we? A couple lift the whole positivity around the podcast, because obviously we're disappointed, but there's a few players have gone out on loan, haven't they? Recently we sent the likes of Ashton Golding. How have they done over this weekend? Because Bradford, I saw, beat York City Knights, didn't they? And York City Knights are a decent team that I have a little bit of a soft spot for, mainly due to their social media stuff and Gavin and that do the social media there. How the guys get on?
I tried to have a look into that. Golding came off the bench for Bradford, so I don't know if he came on as fullback or if he came on to play hooker, because he did score. He did score his try straight from dummy half, so that made me think that he'd come on to play hooker. Whether that helps him coming straight back in to play fullback for us, I don't know, but I'm guessing he's getting a little bit of game time.
I think Golding's just about getting on the pitch.
Yeah,
getting a bit of game time, so I presume that he'll, no matter where he's playing, as long as he's on the pitch playing for us.
I'm not really sure how Ollie Wilson did. I didn't see much reports on his, on him coming on, but he came on off the bench for Bradford. You got Lewis Senior scored for Oldham. They got beat, but he scored. I had good reports from Ollie Russell, playing for Halifax. They got beat, and as always, Sam Hewitt, who's been at Halifax all year, he got a good review as well, like he does every week for Halifax, to be fair. If we put another performance like that together over the next couple of weeks, I'd be looking at giving some of these guys a chance, because what Watson did say at the start of the season, he came to Huddersfield because we've got, the good academy with players coming through and youngsters. But for me, he seems very reluctant to play these youngsters this far. Given the only one he's given a chance to really is Trout. If that were Lewis Senior who had that game at fullback yesterday, he'd be out at team quicker than you could blink, and he's not a fullback; he's a winger as well. So, I'd like to see some of these players come back over the next 3 or 4 weeks and be given a chance.
Very good. You also had Ronan Michael, who started for Swinton. Sam Wood scored and started at loose forward for Dewsbury. So I think all 6 who went out, plus you like to say Samuel, which were already there, they all played for the clubs yesterday. They'll all play again this week while we'd have a game, and I'm sure they'll all be in contention for the Wigan game if we've got any injuries. We have no suspensions, obviously. There'll be any injuries that we've got. Which
Gavett's suspended.
Yeah, Gavitt
got one match. Did John Luke Kirby play for Dewsbury again?
I'm not sure. I didn't see that.
Because I know he played a couple of weeks ago, didn't he? Which were a bit of a surprise, because he's last I heard he were out for the season, and then we saw his name sneak on team sheet for Dewsbury. No. So it's good these guys are getting game time. It's what they need, especially like Lewis Senior, that's been used to having 10 games a year in Super League for the last couple of years, and it doesn't look like he's going to get much of a chance this year. So hopefully it keeps him ticking over.
Jake, you also mentioned that you wanted to discuss some players that might be leaving as well, not just loan this time.
Yeah. So I don't know how true it is, but there's always whispers and stuff on when you're at away games from some fans, and it was said yesterday that maybe Daniel McIntosh has signed for Hull. Not sure how true that is. if it is true for me, going forward, I'd look to, and he has signed and moving on, I'd look to bring Lewis Senior back and get him on the wing, or Sam Wood. I don't see, why we'd be developing a player to be moving on at the end of the season. I hope it's not true when he stays at the Giants, because I do think he's a really good winger. And I think he's been our best winger this year so far, in the games he has played on the wing. So touch wood, but we do keep hold of him.
I really like Darnell, so I'd be pretty gutted if he did leave, to be honest. It'd be a bit like Jake Connor leaving. I really like Jake Connor as well, so I was really disappointed he left. But who knows? Hopefully Darnell stays. So if it helps, Jake will sing you a song to stay. If it helps the decision process. Anyone else, Jake, or is that the only sort of transfer item you've got this week?
Well, obviously, I think it's a lot of fans seem to be resigned to the fact that Caesar will be leaving at the year's end. It seems to be gathering momentum within supporters. Speaking to quite a few before the game yesterday, a lot of people seem dead certain that he's leaving. Are you one of those, Nat? Do you seem to think it's going that way?
Yeah, well, I've been told he'll be off. Like I said, I don't know how true it is. I don't know, how they find out. But yeah, the rumours I'm hearing is, that's just from 3 or 4 comments on Twitter and Facebook. I've seen that he's off. I think I expect him to go back, to be fair, but you never know.
I have to have a little cry on the last podcast of the season if that happens.
I think Gaskell's the one that's been heavily rumoured to leave.
Salford as well, linked as well.
Salford.
Yeah, I think League Express plus one at Salford have
Wakefield.
Interested in thing, and Wakefield are interested. Yeah, so I think Gas is the one high on the list that'll be leaving, and
I quite like Lee Gaskell as well.
Yeah, so
okay.
If he'll be gainers there, it will be leaving.
Do
Okay.
you think that plays a part if they are leaving? The likes of Darnell and Caesar at the end of the year, that plays a part in him not coming over to clap the fans at the end of the game?
No, I don't know. I don't think it should. It's not been named yet, have they? So as far as they're concerned, we shouldn't know that they're leaving. So just said Darnell is leaving. We're not supposed to know. So, why is there? He should still be coming over. We don't know he's leaving. It's just rumours, aren't they? So
yeah, true.
I don't think that should have played a part now.
Anyway, that could be out with the old, and the new that could be coming through. The Giants Scholars had a fantastic win over Wigan, didn't they? And the Academy as well beat Bradford 58-12 with a particular Will Price showing up well against his dad's former team.
Yeah, I've been told that he was absolutely outstanding on Saturday afternoon against Bradford. I think he's got an hat-trick and kicked 7 or 8, maybe even more goals. Plays fullback, plays half. I don't think it makes a difference to him. He's fast, he's skillful. He's got some of his dad traits as well. He likes to run the ball. He's not an half, he'll just ship it off. So, yeah, he's definitely one to keep an eye on coming through. And like I said, just a massive shout out to the Scholars. Wigan are renowned for having the best scholars and best academy around. So for any Scholars team to go to Wigan and win, they deserve a massive shout. So fair play to you boys. Well done, young lads. And like I said, keep working hard and follow your dreams, because we're lucky to still have an academy, which got chose last week, didn't we? So fingers crossed we'll see a few of them move into the academy next year and move forward further on than that.
Was it the academy that lost to Wigan the week before, or was it the Scholars? Have they played them twice? Because I saw a result. Was it the academy? Because the academy got well beaten by Wigan, didn't they, the week before? Yeah. But yeah, brilliant result for Scholars, and a good result for academy to pick up their first win as well. Will Price, I think Watson said he would have got some game time in the pre-season friendlies. So hopefully, we give him a first team contract for next season, and we we can see likes of Will Price and Fenton Rodgers and a couple of other lads, first team next year as well.
Exciting times, and big well done again to the academy staff there, who've really brought the academy on over the last 7 or 8 years, haven't they? To a point whereby they're now producing some good players. So another point as well, the Giants women lost 68-10 against Wigan. Just really a note just to keep going. These things will happen. A new team put together against a more established one, and hopefully that team keeps going and keeps doing the town proud as well by performing in Super League. Right, guys, I don't think we've got an entire massive amount left. I think we'll go to the Adam O'Brien round, if you like, the any other business, before we have a think about the Wigan game. Anything you guys want to bring up that we've maybe not done so far? Maybe just throw a a tap to Jake's way?
Come on,
No.
Jake. I'm sure you've got plenty to say, mate.
No. I think I've said everything I want to say. Just hope we can get back to that Wigan game now. Get Darnell back up wing, Gasky back up, bring Ashton Golding back, slotting up full back. And just fingers crossed Josh Jones isn't out for too long because it looked a nasty one. Did that?
Some swelling, I think, hasn't he, on his foot? I think.
Yeah. Looks like a bad one, so I'm expecting him to be out for quite a while. Anything less is a bonus, I suppose, because he's been our best player this year.
Nothing from me. Just thought I want to mention a big shout out to a few of the fans that have been listening. I had a few people come up to me last year and tell me they've been listening to it and they enjoy it. So obviously, like you say every week, Matt, thanks for listening. Big shout out to Sam Quinn, my mate Sam Quinn, who listens in Canada every week and messages me every week about it. So like I say, thanks to the fans that are listening.
Absolutely.
Like I say, any feedback to come to us. It's nice that we know you're listening and you feel comfortable enough to come up to us in the stands when we're there to tell us what's happening and tell us how you feel. And like I say, anything you can improve, we'll pass it on and try our best.
I was going to get a decent view from the other side this week, but it looks like my contact, Mr. Dan Fox, I'm going to name and shame him. Mr. Dan Fox has had a couple too many beers and forgot to watch the game and hasn't been able to provide me with a Wakefield point of view. So he has promised me an upgrade for the game at Huddersfield. So we'll have to wait and see if he comes through with that. So. Right, guys, we'll move on to the Wigan game. We may do an impromptu episode next week, but we'll have a chat about Wigan. So, as Jake, you've already mentioned, Zach Hardacre is suspended. For us, Gave is going to miss, but Ryan Yates returns. What sort of changes would you guys make looking at the game? It's not next week, but the week after.
So for me, Ashton Golding comes in at fullback. Gaskell replaces Cogger in the halves. Yates comes straight back in. I'd look to replace Joe Greenwood. Maybe give Oliver Wilson a chance. I've really been impressed with Greenwood at all this season. I do expect him to get better, but at the moment, I don't think he deserves this spot. And I'd probably think that Joe Wardle will come in for Owen Trout. And I think that's about it for me.
I'm not quite sure. I think there'll be some changes. I think that's expected after a loss like yesterday. I agree. For me, Ashton Golding slot straight back in at full-back after he's had 2 games at Bradford, which means it'd be a toss-up between Gasky and Cogger to join Caesar in the halves. I've been saying I'd probably sit with Cogger, but he could be one of the players that unfortunately will miss out after a performance like that yesterday. I'm not saying I would, but it could possibly be that. So, yeah, toss-up between Gasky and Cogger there. Not sure Joe Wardle get back in yet because Trout's been playing well. One bad game for Trout. I don't think he deserves to be missed out, so I'd leave Trout in for now. Obviously, Gavitt out, which Luke Yates will slot straight back in. Like I said before, I think he's our leader in the forwards now. Who else is there could possibly be coming back in? I'd keep Joe Greenwood in, to be honest. I think he's getting better, just slowly getting better. If he can just sort his mistakes out, I think he'll come good, and he's not going to come good sideline. So yeah, I'd just stick with Joe Greenwood for now. Especially for the Wigan game against his former club, he's probably got a point to prove that Wigan want rid of him, man. So hopefully, if he plays well as his former team, that could kickstart his Giants career. So yeah, Golding at fullback, Cogger or Gasky in the half, Yates back into the forwards, and that's probably about it for me. But we could see a few more if Water wants to win the changes after a performance like yesterday.
I'd like to see.
I mean, we should be able to get rid of the niggles. He mentioned a lot of niggles after the game that, maybe some of the players shouldn't have played, and he sort of gave them the benefit of the doubt and risked them. He said in hindsight he probably shouldn't have done that, but given that we've got a week off now, that you expect people with niggles to heal up and be ready to go for Wigan game. In terms of Wigan's team, Hardacre missing. They've got no Bevan French, who's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Jai Field's still out, so they're going to have a young kid. Probably Hanley's going to play fullback. I think they've still got a couple of wingers out. I mean, Manfredi's back, but I think they've still got Bibby on the other wing, aren't they, at the moment? Gildart, is he still out at the moment as well?
Yeah, so I think, like you said, they'll have Hanley at fullback. So imagine with Manfredi and Bibby on the wings with probably 2 second rows and Fowler and Isa playing second row. So I think they'll be quite strong out the back, but maybe not as agile as Jake Wardle and Latelli, so I'm sure that'll be what's going to be looking at this week. I should imagine we'll get rid of his niggles. Just go back to what I said, I won't play Joe Wardle. Maybe I would, because we forgot that Josh Jones will most likely be missing.
Yeah.
So maybe Joe Wardle will slot straight back into the second row edge and add a bit of aggressive tone against Wigan, which I normally feel when we play Wigan, we normally get bullied a bit, so we probably need his forwards to step up this game and really lead. The Smithers and Partington for Wigan, they like to intimidate you and get off your line, and we probably need to match them in the first 20 minutes. That'll be the key against Wigan, I think.
The one thing, though, where Wigan will be short is, they usually have quite a bit of pace out wide. They're not going to have that this time. Without French, without Ardicker, they're going to have Farrell and Isa in at centre. They've not got bags of pace, which means the second row's, weakened because we're losing Farrell and Isa. So, for me, if you're looking at, look through team sheet, you'd have to say we've got the stronger side out. It's a game we've got to be looking to win now, given the Wigan, absentees, the star fullbacks and stuff. And, Ardicker has not been playing too well, to be honest, the last few weeks. I don't think it'll be much of a miss. But Bevan French certainly will be. He ripped us to bits a couple of times last year, didn't he? So I think we've got to be looking to win, but I don't think we will for some reason.
I don't think we can go in saying we need to be winning. Wigan are the top of the league, aren't they? Or second, and only lost one game. So I agree. They haven't been playing great and been they screwed past Salford, didn't they? And so this loss will probably come in, probably not in the manner the way they got beat and stuff. They probably didn't expect that, but the defeat will come in. I probably owe this great past Catalan and the defeat came against us, but they'll respond. They're a class outfit and have nothing but praise me for Wigan. I know a lot of people don't like them, but I love the way Wigan play the rugby. They play it hard, they play it aggressive, and for me that's what rugby's all about. So I'm a big fan of the Wigan team and the way they play, and we're going into this game. I don't think we can expect to win, and I think we've got a chance of winning. But if we lose and we keep it close, then I'll be proud of the team as I just am if we win, because it's going to be a very tough afternoon or tough evening, should I say, 'cause it's Friday night, and it's so fingers crossed we get the result. But
certainly need a performance, in response, don't they, to Wakefield. I agree with what you say about the team selections. I want to see Ashton Golding back at fullback. I think Gaskell's done really well in an attacking sense there, but I do want to see the number one fullback and that. Him sort of settle with the back line now. An interesting thing is if Gaskell's leaving and Cogger's staying, that's the dynamic that you're looking at there. Do you keep Cogger in because, potentially he's staying, or do you put Gaskell in, for the short-term fix? I'm not sure. Josh Jones is obviously going to be a miss if he's out injured, so that's going to be interesting to see who they play ahead of him. Maybe Greenwood gets a bit of a reprieve on that one. But so prediction-wise, I was going to say the fullback as well for Wigan, Hanley's got some big shoes to fill, hasn't he? In more ways than one as well. Absolutely. So prediction-wise, Nate, you said potentially a close fought defeat. Do you think? Are you going to narrow that one down, hammer it in?
I'll narrow it down. You know what?
I've never seen you predict a defeat before, so this is interesting.
I'm not going to carry on. I'm not going to predict the defeat. We're going to win by one. I sit by the boys. It's a bad afternoon at Wakefield yesterday, and we'll get players back. Hopefully Josh Jones can get fit, but if not, we'll bounce back, win by a point, and Jake will be singing his praises in 2 weeks on this podcast, hopefully, and he might start believing we're back in playoffs. But I'm sure Jake reckons we might get a hammer in it in 2 weeks.
No, I don't think we'll get a hammer in. I think it'll be a really close game, with Wigan's absentees, as I've said. I think it'll be a hard-fought battle down middle. Wigan don't have the biggest set of forwards, and I think that bodes us quite well, because we seem to do well with teams that don't have big forwards. As you've seen with Wake yesterday with Fafita and stuff, we just can't handle them. Struggled against Hull, struggled against Catalan with them big forwards. I think it'll be a close, low-scoring game. I'm going to go for a Wigan win by a drop goal. I think it'll end up 17-16 Wigan.
Do you know what? I was going to predict Wigan, but I'm going to go Giants by 4 and Darnell to score a hat-trick and Jake on the podcast the week after singing Return of the Mac, and I think that'll be a fitting way to do that.
If he plays on the wing, he could easily score a hat trick. He's a very good winger, and I don't want to have offended anyone by my comments earlier.
Will you sing though? If he wins us the game against Wigan, will you sing on this podcast? I think that's what everyone wants to know.
I'll sing a song. Yeah. I'm not saying Daniel's a bad player. If anyone's offended by my comments, I think he's an exceptional winger, really good winger who's getting better and better. I just think he's not a fullback, and the more I see him there, he's just way off. And hopefully Watson's seen that, and if he don't do that again, basically. We've got other players that could have slotted straight in there, like Ashel Bott, who now probably ain't going to get a chance of playing at all. Now Golding's back, because Gaskell will be second choice fullback, so he's even further down pecking order, and it's hard to see him unless we get quite a few injuries now till end of year playing for Giants at all. Would you agree with that, Nat?
You changed the subject very quickly there, didn't you? Out of him singing. So we've nailed that down. That Darnell's going to do the business, and Jake's singing next week. Let's not forget that before you answer that question. Although we've kind of already been there, haven't we, a bit earlier on? But go on.
We won't forget it. I won't let Jake forget it. I'll remind him after the game at Wigan too. Texting him. But yeah, I agree. I don't think he'll play now. But what I will say is, don't be surprised, because for me, Watson, I keep saying, I think he's a fantastic coach. He's the best in the league for me, and he kept doing it at Salford, and he'll keep doing it at us. I just think he'll keep surprising with the team selection. I try and nail down what I think he's going to pick every week, and I'm about 4 or 5 players short every week, so it's difficult. But I'll just keep saying to me in the process and follow what he's doing, and whatever Watson decides, with players leaving, players coming, players getting picked to play and not play, I'll back Watson to get it right, because I believe that he will get it right. So I'm still in whatever Watson believes we win.
I think that's a great place to end the podcast as well. Whatever Watson believes, we will follow and we will win. So thanks everybody for listening again. Don't be shy. Pop a message, and especially on the YouTube comments. When we tweet or Facebook message this out, get involved in the comments section as well. Let us know what's good. Let us know what's bad, and any feedback for making this better as well. So thanks again, and we'll hit the victory song just for a little bit of hope for the forthcoming game against Wigan.